Welcome, film fans. Welcome to Movie Talk Daily for Monday, December the 3rd, 2012. We're going to get you caught up to date now on everything going on in the world of movie news, starting with this. A few short weeks ago, we mentioned that actor Dane Dehaan was one of several actors auditioning for the coveted role of Harry Osborn in the upcoming sequel to The Amazing Spider-Man. Harry Osborn was, of course, portrayed by James Franco in the previous Spider-Man franchise. At the time, I personally mentioned that I believed Dehaan was beyond the perfect choice for the role. Well, earlier today, Spider-Man director Mark Webb took to his Twitter account and announced that Dehaan was indeed our new Harry Osborn. No other details were given, and we'll let you know when more information becomes available. Dear Star Trek, The Dark Knight called and it would like to have its poster back. The first official poster for the highly anticipated new Star Trek film titled Star Trek Into Darkness and hit the web in the last 24 hours. And while it's quite cool, many people are pointing out that it bears a striking resemblance to the recent Dark Knight series of posters. The guy in the poster even appears to be wearing a black cape of some sorts. Whatever, Star Trek is going to be awesome, and it opens in AMC theaters everywhere on May 17th. Speaking of new posters, Warner Brothers have released a new poster for the upcoming Superman movie, Man of Steel. In the poster, we can see Superman being played by actor Henry Cavill, apparently under arrest and being marched off somewhere by soldiers. I'm not quite sure whose bright idea was to put handcuffs on Superman, which I'm guessing will not be that effective. Man of Steel opens in AMC theaters everywhere on June 14th. While many still doubt that a Justice League movie will actually happen in 2015, as WB has announced, it will. At least at this point, there's still no cast and no director. A script has already been written by Gangster Squad's Will Beall. Movie news site Latino Review has now claimed that they have discovered who the villain of that film will be: Darkseid. Darkseid first appeared in the 1970s as one of the most powerful of the new gods. He has unmeasurable strength and vulnerability, and of course his all-powerful Omega Beam. The character was recently the main antagonist for the first story arc of the New 52 Justice League. The nominees for this year's Annie Awards, celebrating the best in animated film each year, have been announced. The nominees for Best Animated Feature are Brave by Pixar, Frankenweenie from the Walt Disney Studios, Hotel Transylvania from Sony Pictures, Paranorman from Focus, Rise of the Guardians from DreamWorks, Pirates Band of Misfits by Aardman Animations, The Rabbit's Cat by G-Kids, and Wreck-It Ralph by Disney Animation Studio. And that is your news flash. Joining me right now over here, he is, of course, a production manager here at AMC, Mr. Dennis Zen. And we're going to take a few minutes here and talk about some of this. We got to start with this. We did get on here a couple weeks ago, Dennis. We talked about that there are a bunch of actors auditioning for Harry Osborn. And we said right up front, beyond perfect, the guy they needed to get was Chronicles' Dane Dehaan. Then you point out to me a little while ago, say, hey, Mark Webb's Twitter, check it out. And of course, Mark Webb has gone ahead and he's announced that Dane Dehaan is our Harry Osborn. Your reaction to hearing news like that?
I think it's great. I think he was the best choice. I love him as an actor. I thought he was great in Chronicle. Loved him in Lawless. And so I think this is a great casting choice for, you know, the new, younger Harry Osborn. You know, I think he has that kind of the ability, as we've seen in Lawless, to play kind of like a more innocent character, and then in obviously in Chronicle, someone that's more, you know, has a chip on his shoulder and some anger, the issues which Harry Osborn is going to have.
But you know what you mentioned the innocent side, and the thing that I love, first of all, he was fantastic in Lawless, so good. I mean, he's acting alongside some serious heavyweights in Lawless, and he completely held his own and actually shined a lot. But you mentioned that word, that innocence. I found that for his role in Chronicle, he does start off as that innocent guy. He starts off almost as that victim, you know? And not only can he play that, and not only can he play super powerful and creepy, he can play the transition. Because one of the best things about Chronicle was that transition phase as he goes from that meek little innocent in many ways guy to the all-powerful monster. And he just played it so beautifully. And I think for this kind of a Harry Osborn, one of the things we always say here, it's never a mistake to get talent. So obviously we agree, super talent. But I really think when they announced that they wanted kind of that darker, almost creepier Harry Osborn, that just made Dane Dehaan the perfect guy. He's very different from James Franco, but he needs to be different from James Franco. They didn't want the jock this time around, you know? And so I think this is terrific news. Let's move on to this. The Star Trek poster comes out, and I can't even begin to express how excited I am for the Star Trek. I thought the last Star Trek movie was going to be a horrible mess. I predicted for about a year it was going to be terrible, and I would have nominated it for Best Picture. I mean, I wouldn't have let it win, but I would have nominated it for Best Picture. I just loved it that much. First poster comes out here, and while I'm excited to see an official poster, the film comes out in May. Look, sometimes on the internet, people just like to complain for the sake of complaining and find things to nitpick, and we see people going all over the place, oh, it's just a Dark Knight poster. I don't know about you, dude. I'm looking at this poster, and it really is. It's the Dark Knight poster. Like, when you're looking at it, what do you see?
Yeah, I also see the Dark Knight poster. And there's also been a lot of posters that are similar to it. But this one is really, especially with the Starfleet insignia
out of the wreckage.
Out of the wreckage. And also another reason too is the poster doesn't feel like Star Trek to me. And I think that's where I think the problem is. It's not like it's a movie that's similar to The Dark Knight Rises in terms of tone or
that's
or
not
story.
what we're suggesting at all, right?
Yeah. But now it just kind of looks like I don't know, maybe the design company is the same one. They just got lazy. And
there's even the flames in there, like you do. You got a guy in black leather apparently standing with his silhouette. I mean, I don't know. I mean, for the people, you can't just call people nitpickers when they look at this. Now, not taking away, that doesn't mean, like Dennis was saying, this doesn't mean at all that Star Trek is going to be like The Dark Knight Rises. It's just a poster. It doesn't mean anything. I still think this movie is going to be awesome, but it is hard to argue that people see some pretty eerie similarities. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing here. Talking about posters, one of the films I'm super excited about this year is Man of Steel. I think while Zack Snyder as a director, I know you liked Watchmen more than I did. I liked Watchmen. I didn't love it.
I didn't love it either.
Oh, really? Okay. And then I think we all agree that Sucker Punch was an awful, terrible mess. That was just an awful movie. But, I mean, you turn the volume off on that movie and just watch it. It's visually gorgeous.
Yeah, and the designs look great, and the action is enjoyable. It's just the story was just
terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
Like if you turn off the sound and make up your own story to what you're watching, it's pretty awesome. Yeah. But so Zack Snyder, but I loved 300. I loved what he did with that movie, and so I'm still in that point with Zack Snyder where I'm totally willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. So I was excited to hear that he's doing Superman. I was excited that Henry Cavill got cast. I actually thought Henry Cavill. A lot of people slam on Immortals. I actually didn't mind Immortals that much, and I did quite enjoy Henry Cavill in it. And so that just made me even more excited for the fact that he was playing Superman. This poster comes out. It's a very interesting poster. And you know, one of the guys online, I can't remember who it was pointing out to me that you can tell by this poster that Christopher Nolan, who is not directing this film, Zack Snyder is, but that Christopher Nolan has a hand in this because, you know, he kind of played that motif in The Dark Knight where Batman to the public becomes the villain in many ways, that he's perceived as the villain. And now we see this new poster, Superman in handcuffs. And as I said in the newsflash, I don't know whose bright idea it was to put handcuffs on Superman. I don't know what that's supposed to accomplish. But obviously here he is, much like the Batman, a little bit of Batman parallel, that he's kind of taking on maybe a public perception of being a threat or a villain of some way. I mean, what we don't know is where does Man of Steel fit in to the overall Star Wars or Superman mythology, because we know in the last Superman film, in Superman Returns, that it was kind of picking up in a way, it kind of loosely fit itself into the existing Superman, chronological order. It assumes canon. He comes back now. We understand he was gone for a long time. Now he's blah, blah, blah. What we don't know about this film yet is where does Man of Steel fit in to our understanding of the Superman chronological order. Obviously, this is a new Superman. It's not going to fit in with the old films. But in the sense of the Superman mythology, where is this? Is he new to Earth? We see some origin story stuff in the trailers with Jor-El and Pa Kent kind of expressing their wishes for him. But is that just the first 5 minutes of the film? Like we just don't know. So I'm curious to see where this goes. When you look at this poster here, what do you see?
Well, I mean, to be honest, when I first saw this poster, it was popping up on like Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. I honestly thought it was a fan-made. I thought it was a fan-made poster.
Yeah.
It was really blurry. It looked like maybe they had taken a picture from a still and just kind of photoshopped it together.
And the lens flare in the background of it also looks quite photoshopped.
Yes.
Very J.J. Abrams, but quite photoshopped.
It just doesn't scream like super professional to me, and so that was my first thought. In terms of him in the handcuffs, yeah, it's just kind of silly in a way. It's like, yeah, I'm going to put Superman in handcuffs. That's going to do something.
This should help.
Yeah. I think, and I'm kind of hoping that the movie is a retelling of his origin story, but in a different way.
Right.
And
yeah.
I just assume that it is going to be how he came to be and then how he's maybe introduced to the world and Metropolis, and perhaps that's why he's in handcuffs. Maybe the first time they see him, they think he's like a criminal or something like that.
Yeah, and there'd be. I mean, let's face it. If this were to happen in real life, our first reaction would be fear. Our first reaction would be fear. So that is kind of interesting that he's in these cuffs. Or we also know that Zod is in Man of Steel. So one of the other possibilities, and remember, this is just me theorizing like crazy. I'm just pulling this completely out of various orifices on my body. What if Zod actually takes over the world and he decrees Superman an outlaw? So we got a couple of different possibilities here, right? We've got his first exposure to humanity, and our reaction is fear, and he allows himself to be captured. Then there's the possibility, hey, maybe Zod takes over the world. The world is kneeled to Zod, and Zod proclaims Superman an outlaw, or he has to be brought in. And now we see this. A lot of different possibilities. I'm fascinated. This poster fascinates me. It is sloppy looking. It's not a great looking poster, but it does fascinate me. Him being in those handcuffs just make my imagination go a little bit crazy. Anyway, we need to get on to our last thing here. I mentioned in the newsflash that the animation awards basically are coming out. The Annie Awards, which celebrate every year the best in animation. This, of course, is not the Oscars, it's previously the Oscars. But the films that they have nominated for Best Animated Feature Film are Brave. I think we can throw that out the window. That's Brave is not going to win Best Animated Feature. Frankenweenie, which I believe has a shot.
I didn't see it, but I heard good things.
Right. I believe it has a shot. Hotel Transylvania, which I'm going to throw out the window right now. Paranorman,
which was quite good.
Which is quite good, and I also think has a shot. Rise of the Guardians, Pirates Band of Misfits, and the Rabbi's Cat. I'm just going to throw those out right now. Wreck-It Ralph is going to win this award. And it absolutely should win this award. I mean, a lot of people want to say, the themes in Frankenweenie or in Paranorman, which I think are going to be the biggest competition, they're more mature, blah, blah. I don't care. When you sit down, for my money, when you sit down and you look at the overall film experience, I laughed hilariously. I nearly cried in a couple of spots. The theater I was in, that last scene of the movie, there was barely a dry eye anywhere. Everybody was kind of choked up. It's engaging. It's got great nostalgia factor, but it's not just nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. Every hit of nostalgia brings an experience with it. It's just a beautifully told, viscerally entertaining, wildly wonderful film that I just think stands head and shoulders above everything else. There are going to be people who disagree with me in that, and I can completely understand. I think there is an argument to be made for Frankenweenie. I think there's an argument to be made for Paranorman. But to me, it's Wreck-It Ralph, personally. You've seen Wreck-It Ralph. Do you think it'll win? Do you think it should win? Where do you think it fits into all this?
I think it should win, but for me, it's a little problematic because I haven't seen most of those animated movies.
Right.
I saw Brave, which was very, very weak.
By Pixar standards.
Yes, by Pixar standards. And I saw Paranorman, which I really liked, but I did enjoy Wreck-It Ralph more so. And from the things I've heard of Frankenweenie, I heard it's pretty good, but no one said it was amazing or anything like that. And then the rest of them, I haven't heard any like great things about. So I would vote for Wreck-It Ralph.
All right, and hey, folks, that'll wrap it up for this installment of Movie Talk Daily. Don't forget, folks, stop what you're doing right now and click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. Keep up to date on all of our episodes of AMC Movie Talk, including our new daily installments, as well as our weekly hour-long episode. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And don't forget, folks, to check back in every single day for Movie Talk Daily. For Dennis Zeng, my name's John Campea, Senior Editor of AMC Movie News. Thanks a lot for joining us, and until next time, bye-bye.